to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a place where soft whispers of imagination gently guide you into the peaceful realm of slumber. Tonight, you are invited to embark on a serene journey of wonder, where a quiet winter morning reveals the tiny footprints of Christmas elves at dawn. Before you drift into this enchanted tale, allow yourself to settle, feeling the rhythm of your breath slow and calm, like the soft flutter of snowflakes drifting through a moonlit sky. Sink deeper into the warmth that envelops you now. Notice how each breath flows in and out, gently carrying away the cares of the day. The world outside grows hushed, and you feel a comforting stillness settling over your mind. In that growing stillness, the edges of your thoughts begin to soften. Any tension in your shoulders, jaw, or brow slips away, replaced by a gentle heaviness that anchors you to the present. This is your time to rest, your moment to let go. As you take another slow, soothing breath, imagine a soft glow illuminating a snow-covered village far away. The windows of quaint houses glimmer with golden light, while the air carries the faint scent of evergreen branches and sweet holiday spices. You can almost hear the quiet hush that falls upon the rooftops. Snow drifts against cottage walls, forming gentle mounds that sparkle in the moonlight. Soon, in this silent world, an extraordinary discovery awaits. Tiny footprints appear on the ground at the break of dawn, whispering of a hidden magic only the most curious souls can witness. Let the slow, calming melody of your breath cradle you in comfort. Feel the plush support beneath you as each muscle surrenders to rest. Now allow the magical hush of this winter tale to carry you forward like a gentle sleigh gliding across frosted fields. In your mind's eye, the scene grows clearer, and the story begins in soft, warm tones. Your mind transitions into a dreamy awareness, no longer needing to hold on to outside concerns. You are safe here, cozy, and at peace. In a quiet valley bordered by stately evergreens, there lay a village named Linden Grove. The village was known for its warm, lantern-lit streets and the sound of bells chiming on frosty nights. Snow covered the rooftops and sparkling blankets each winter, lending everything an otherworldly glow as the stars above shimmered like silver flakes. The streets were narrow, lined with shops that sold handmade chocolates and gingerbread, with windows decorated in festive wreaths. From afar, Linden Grove looked like a picture postcard of an old-fashioned holiday dream. In one cozy corner of this village stood a small, time-worn cottage trimmed with thick pine garlands. Soft candlelight flickered through the front window, revealing a welcoming interior filled with golden warmth. A gentle hush rested over the cottage, as if it were patiently waiting for something wondrous to happen. And indeed, within those modest walls, a curious heart resided, a child named Mina, whose eyes sparkled with a sense of innocent wonder at the world. Mina was a quiet child, her footsteps often soft as a sigh on the old floorboards. She liked to spend her evenings curled near the fireplace, wrapped in a knitted blanket her grandmother had made. On winter nights, she would press her nose against the frosted window and peer out at the snow-laden village. There was a comforting hush in the air, a hush that seemed to cradle every hope and dream. The flicker of street lanterns cast dancing shapes on the snow, and Mina loved to imagine those shapes were footprints of tiny visitors from some hidden realm. It was early in the season of red ribbons and fur-scented festivities, and rumors began spreading about mysterious footprints. Several villagers claimed that at the break of dawn, little patterns of footprints appeared in the fresh snow, tiny, delicate tracks that vanished by mid-morning, erased by a gust of wind or covered by new drifts of white. Whispers flurried about who might leave such dainty imprints. Some guessed at birds or squirrels, while others shared wide-eyed theories of friendly fairies passing through. But there was also mention of Christmas elves, small, secret helpers with a knack for mischief and delight. Mina had heard these rumors from the village baker, a kindly man who sold freshly baked sweet rolls and honey cakes. He mentioned that one morning, not long after the sun began to peek over the horizon, he looked outside his shop's back door and noticed unusual footprints. Too little for a person, too few for a roaming animal. Yet they seemed to walk in little looping circles and then disappear beyond a fence. The baker said he stood there for a moment, half awake with a tray of bread in his arms, before the footprints faded under a swirl of snow. From that day forward, Mina's imagination took flight. She would climb into bed on cold winter nights, gazing out her bedroom window at the moonlit street, and dream of spotting such tiny footprints for herself. A quiet excitement began to grow inside her, a gentle longing for something magical, something that might confirm what she already believed in her heart. That Christmas carried more than just songs and ribbons, but a hidden enchantment that tiptoed through the world while most were still asleep. The nights grew colder, and the hush of Linden Grove seemed to thicken with each falling snowflake. On one particularly silent night, Mina placed her boots by the front door, arranged her woolen scarf on the hall rack, and set her knitted mittens in her coat pocket, determined to wake up before dawn. She went to bed early, slipping under layers of quilts. The crackle of the dying embers in the fireplace lulled her towards slumber, and as she closed her eyes, she softly murmured a wish that she might catch sight of those curious footprints. When the first pale light of morning touched the sky, Mina stirred. In the half-light, she pulled on her warmest clothes and laced her boots, blinking the last traces of sleep from her eyes. Quietly, As not to wake her grandmother, she slipped outside. The air was breathtakingly still and cold, yet gentle, wrapping around her like a feather-light cloak. The village lay in shadow, most people still tucked in their beds. She looked around the yard and along the street, but saw only fresh, untrodden snow. Then just as the sky began to glow faintly pink, she noticed something near the garden gate. Faint impressions so small they might have been made by a child's toy. Her breath caught in her throat. She walked closer. There, in the pure snow, were tiny footprints, arranged in a merry line like miniature dancers stepping across a stage. The prints were barely the length of her finger and led from the gate toward the side of the cottage. A sense of delight fluttered in her chest, and she carefully knelt, reaching out her mitten to hover above one print. She didn't dare touch it, worried she might disturb the delicate shape. They looked like footprints, belonging to small creatures with slender toes, pointed at the tip, almost as if wearing little boots. She thought of the rumors about Christmas elves. Every detail, from the placement to the spacing, suggested a playful frolic had happened beneath the moon. The prints trailed around the corner, so Mina followed with hushed steps, too entranced to feel the cold seeping through her boots. In the soft dawn light, she traced the footprints past a row of evergreen bushes where they turned abruptly. Beyond that, they vanished under a light dusting of snow that must have blown in during the night. Mina looked up, scanning for more, but no further signs appeared. Still, the presence of these tiny prints, even half buried, filled her with a comforting wonder. The hush of the morning felt alive, like the air itself hummed with stardust. The next morning, Mina returned outside before sunrise. She found no footprints in her yard, so she ventured onto the quiet street. Lamps still glowed faintly against the worn wooden doors and shuttered windows, and the crunch of snow under her boots resonated in the otherwise silent world. The air smelled of pine and chimney smoke, a cozy combination that made her heart feel warm despite the chill. She glanced around looking for new signs. For a moment she saw nothing but the crisp expanse of snow. Then at the corner near the bakery, she spotted a fresh pattern of footprints. Like the day before, they were arranged in playful patterns. Some looped in circles, while others marched in a straight line, only to swirl away in whirling arcs. It looked as though a group of miniature revelers had danced upon the snow while the rest of the village slept. Careful not to disrupt the prints, Mina walked alongside them, observing each curve and turn. They reminded her of a secret language, one only the elves might read. A cheerful dance recorded in the morning light. As she stood there, a gentle breeze stirred, sending a flurry of loose snow drifting over the footprints. Within a few minutes, the patterns were blurred and fading, as if the wind itself sought to preserve the elves' secrecy. An elderly villager up early to light the street lamps noticed Mina crouched near the footprints and gave her a knowing smile. He quietly placed a finger to his lips, as if sharing in the unspoken enchantment. Over the following days, the village seemed to sparkle under a constant blanket of frost and snow. Each morning, Mina rose early, sometimes finding footprints, sometimes not. The prints were never in the same place twice. Some days they ran across the crest of a low stone wall. Other days, they clustered around the edges of a pond as though the little elves had paused to admire their reflections. In the hush of dawn, these discoveries filled Mina's heart with a sense of belonging to a world larger and more magical than she had ever imagined. The villagers, too, felt the presence of these mysterious footprints. Children whispered excitedly over cups of steaming cocoa, while grown-ups shared quiet wonder with each other in shops and on doorsteps. Yet no one ever seemed to catch more than a fleeting glimpse before the wind or a fresh fall of snow erased the signs. The footprints remained a gentle marvel, never prompting fear, only delight. The people of Linden Grove found themselves pausing more often, gazing at the twilight sky or the fresh snowfall, dreaming of a hidden realm that might be closer than they had realized. One evening, as soft snow drifted beyond the cottage windows, Mina sat by the fire with her grandmother. The crackling logs bathed the room in a pleasant glow, and the aroma of pine cones that her grandmother occasionally dropped into the flame filled the space with a sweet forest scent. The old woman had a gentle wisdom in her eyes, the lines on her face etched by years of caring for others. She had heard about the footprints from Mina, who recounted her morning escapades in hushed, reverent tones. Her grandmother smiled serenely, stirring a cup of chamomile tea. "These elves," she murmured, "they remind us that the holiday season holds a quiet magic. It's not just about presents and decorations. It's about hope and warmth and the small kindnesses that appear when we least expect them." Her voice was soft, and a pensive calm settled over the cottage. Outside, the snowfall thickened, each flake descending like a star from the winter sky. Mina nodded, understanding that the footprints, though tiny, carried a big reminder that sometimes the most heartwarming wonders occur unseen in the quiet moments before the world is fully awake. Her grandmother's gentle words wrapped her in comfort, and Mina felt her eyelids growing heavy with the combined lull of the fire's glow and the rhythmic crackle of wood. That night, she dreamed of walking side by side with the elves, hearing their tinkling laughter in a swirling, silvery snowfall. On the last week before Christmas, a gentle hush enveloped the entire village each evening, as if encouraging everyone to slow down, to savor the lingering anticipation that filled the air. Red ribbons fluttered on door handles, evergreens were festooned with twinkling lights, and wreaths of holly greeted every doorstep. Through it all, whispers of new footprints continued. Some villagers tried to stay awake all night, hoping to catch even the faintest glimpse of these merry visitors, but to no avail. The elves, if they were truly elves, remained unseen. One particularly still night, the moon rose high, casting a silver luminescence on the snowbanks. Inside the cottage, Mina prepared for bed, pressing her palms against her cheeks, excited at the thought of what she might discover at dawn. She drifted into dreams quickly, lulled by the hush of midnight. Her rest was deep and peaceful, filled with comforting images of lantern-lit paths and playful footprints in the snow. When she awoke in the pale morning, the first hint of sunrise glowed at the horizon. Eagerly, she dressed and tiptoed outside, inhaling the crisp, pine-scented air. A gentle wind ruffled her hair, carrying the far-off sound of a church bell, softly chiming the hour. With her heart fluttering, she scanned the ground. The snow glistened with crystals, and there they were. Fresh footprints, more numerous than ever before. They spread out across the street, looping around lampposts and weaving in and out of the front stoops. Some footprints looked deeper, as though left by elves carrying tiny parcels, while others formed swirl patterns, almost like they had danced in perfect circles. Mina followed the tracks, imagining she could hear faint echoes of laughter just beyond her ear's reach. She moved slowly, savoring each step. Dawn lightened the sky, revealing the footprints leading toward the edge of the village. Feeling a subtle pull, as if something beckoned her forward, she continued on. Frost glistened on every window, and the snow was so fresh, it squeaked softly beneath her boots. Her warm breath billowed in the chilled air, and her cheeks tingled with the pleasant nip of winter. As she followed the footprints, she noticed they converged near a tall, old tree at the outskirts of Linden Grove. The trunk was thick, its branches draped with snow. Beneath it lay a circle of footprints, layered over one another as though many tiny visitors had gathered there to whisper secrets at dawn. The hush of the morning was absolute, yet Mina could feel the hum of silent excitement that lingered in the air. She paused, leaning against the old tree, her heart thrumming with gentle anticipation. For a moment, it felt as though time itself stood still, each snowflake suspended mid-air. Then, a faint rustling echoed from high above, a soft shiver of the evergreen needles in the breeze. She glanced up, smiling at the comforting hush that always accompanied the morning's first light. Somehow, she sensed that the elves were near, though invisible to her eyes. Perhaps they were perched among the highest branches, or hidden in the hollows of the trunk. With tender reverence, Mina knelt at the center of that circle, where the footprints overlapped in delicate chaos. She placed her fingertips gently on the snow, feeling its cool purity and allowing her mind to drift into the realm of possibilities. It was enough to be present, to witness evidence of a quiet magic that existed just outside of normal sight. In the days that followed, the footprints did not appear every morning. Some dawns came with only fresh, undisturbed snow, But whenever they did grace the village, a sense of joyful wonder spread among all who discovered them. Children and adults alike began to walk more slowly, to listen more closely, and to greet each day with renewed awe. Mina felt this transformation, noticing how her neighbors smiled more often, how they paused to greet one another warmly, despite the cold. One frigid morning, sunlight sparkled across icicles hanging from rooftops, turning them into twinkling crystals. Mina stepped outside, drawn by a faint glimmer on the far side of her yard. There, near a short wooden fence, were footprints that curved around the corner of the house. This time, however, a new sign appeared with the footprints. Tiny, barely visible handprints pressed into the fluff of snow. They looked as if the elves had leaned on their hands to peer through a frosty window. Mina's cheeks brightened with delight. She followed the footprints around to a side window that looked into her grandmother's sewing room. Inside, spools of red and green thread sat near a half-finished quilt on a table. The footprints tapered off into a pristine stretch of white, as though the elves had vanished in mid-step. Mina knelt to examine them, her breath forming small clouds in the air. A quiet sense of gratitude welled in her chest for this simple sign that not only danced with wonder, but also carried a kind presence, as if the elves had paused to admire the gentle life inside that room. Meanwhile, rumors floated through Linden Grove that a local farmer had discovered the same tiny footprints around his barn at dawn, arranged in neat lines leading to the hayloft ladder. He found a wooden toy soldier perched on a crate, as though left behind by a playful spirit. Another neighbor claimed to have heard soft giggles on a particularly still morning, though no one else could confirm it. The entire village seemed to glow with a shared enchantment. Christmas Eve arrived under a brilliant moon, illuminating the snow-draped streets with pale silver light. Families across Linden Grove gathered around fireplaces to share warm meals, sip mulled cider, and exchange laughter. Candles were lit in windows, a tradition meant to guide the spirit of goodwill to every home. Outside, the night sky shimmered with countless stars, like scattered diamonds across a velvet cloak. Within the snug walls of her cottage, Mina prepared a small plate of homemade cookies and a tiny mug of hot cocoa, placing them near the back door. She hoped the elves, if they passed by, might enjoy a sweet treat. Something in her heart told her they would appreciate this token of gratitude. After all, their footprints had brought such a tender magic to the village. Next to the plate, she left a little handwritten note that simply read, "Thank you and be well." After whispering a soft wish for peace and warmth to all, she settled into bed, gazing at the moonlit silhouettes of pine branches through her window. The hush of night wrapped around her, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke. She listened to the calm, steady rhythm of her own breathing until she drifted into a gentle sleep, lulled by the expectancy that Christmas Eve always brought. When dawn approached, Mina stirred in the early light, The soft pink glow of the horizon seeped into her room, and she rose with a flutter of excitement in her chest. Slipping on her warm clothes, she crept to the back door. Outside, the world was quiet, as if holding its breath after the merriments of the previous night. Her boots pressed into the fresh snow, leaving crisp tracks as she rounded the cottage. Reaching the place where she left the cookies and cocoa, she found the plate dusted with snow, untouched, or so it seemed at first glance. But when she looked closer, she noticed multiple sets of tiny footprints surrounding the area. Some approached the plate carefully, while others seemed to dart away in playful circles. The surface of the cocoa was slightly rippled, as if a miniature spoon had stirred it. A few crumbs were gone from the cookies, leaving only neat bites around the edges. Mina pressed her mittened hands together, a smile spreading across her face. It felt as though the hush of the morning glimmered with an unspoken conversation, a silent thank you. The footprints formed a cheerful spiral that led back out into the yard, heading toward a small pine tree covered in icicles. Beneath the low-hanging branches, a single silver bell gleamed in the snow, left behind as a tiny token. It had faint patterns etched along its edges, scrolling shapes reminiscent of swirling snow drifts. With wonder and careful reverence, Mina picked up the bell. It fit perfectly in the cup of her hand, and when she shook it gently, a soft, musical note chimed. The sound was so pure, it reminded her of starlight. Warmth blossomed in her chest, filling her with a gentle certainty that her gratitude had been heard, and that the elves were as real as the snow beneath her feet. In the days following Christmas, the footprints appeared less often, as if the elusive guests had other corners of the world to visit. Yet the bell remained with Mina, a keepsake that reminded her of the wondrous things that can happen when hearts are open to the gentle magic of the season. She found herself ringing the bell softly on quiet evenings, just to hear that pure, comforting note echo in the cottage. It reminded her that small acts, like leaving out cookies or pressing a note of thanks into the snow, hold the power to brighten the world in subtle, meaningful ways. As the new year approached, the hush of winter deepened, blanketing Linden Grove in a stillness that felt both reflective and hopeful. The footprints, if they ever reappeared, did so in smaller numbers, often scattered far out in the snowy fields or hidden behind fences where only the most patient eyes might see them. The villagers continued to share gentle smiles and act with simple kindness, as though the presence of these secret visitors had encouraged them to care more deeply for one another. Still, each dawn held the promise of discovery, and Mina, with her steadfast curiosity, would wake early at least once a week to take a thoughtful stroll. Sometimes she found nothing but smooth drifts and the hush of the wind. Other times, she might spot one or two faint prints near a doorstep or by a clustered patch of evergreens. Whenever she found them, her heart lifted. buoyed by the knowledge that invisible wonders often remain close, even when rarely seen. The days grew gradually longer, though winter's chill lingered. A sense of peace settled over the cottage, and Mina's grandmother often remarked on how quietly enchanting the season had been. To Mina, every silent snowfall and every new dawn felt like a gentle gift, a reminder that magic seldom barges in with bright trumpets, but rather appears in the margin between sleep and waking. One particularly calm morning, as the sun began to rise over the distant hills, sprinkling the sky with pink and gold, Mina stood by her bedroom window, sipping a cup of warm milk. The hush was so deep, she could almost hear her own heartbeat. With a soft smile, she watched the first rays of light kiss the rooftops, illuminating a world that still held on to a peaceful slumber. She did not venture outside that day to look for footprints. Instead, she savored the moment for what it was, complete in its own quiet wonder, as though the spirit of the elves lingered in every drifting snowflake and every breath of cold air. Now that the story has been gently shared, feel how the warmth of this simple magic nestles in your thoughts, soft as a feather. Let the hush of Linden Grove, with its snow-blanketed lanes and flickering lanterns, remain a comforting backdrop in your mind. Imagine each memory of the tiny footprints dissolving into a serene glow, carrying you deeper into a restful state. Notice that your breathing is slow, steady, and relaxed. Feel any lingering tension in your body sink away, as though melting like snow under a morning sun. Let the childlike wonder that accompanied Mina in her discovery settle into your heart, a reminder that gentle surprises and kind mysteries exist in the quiet corners of life. In the stillness of your own space, invite the soft, silvery calm of dawn to cloak you in peace. If thoughts arise, let them float by like distant clouds in a pale winter sky. Focus on the gentle pulse of your breath, the soothing rhythm that signals safety and warmth. It is safe now to let yourself drift, your body cradled by the softness beneath you, your mind lulled by the gentle images of footprints that appear and vanish in silent wonder. All is quiet, all is well. The story has woven its gentle enchantment, leading you into the tender embrace of rest. Let each muscle in your body release and grow heavier, sinking into a cozy stillness. Breathe in softly. Breathe out gently. There is no rush, no hurry. You have all the time you need. Your eyelids may feel weighed by pleasant drowsiness, the hush of night drawing you deeper into comfort. Allow your awareness to slip further into dreamlike serenity. Let the echoes of tiny bells, the trace of footprints, and the hush of falling snow lull you into a place of soft, nurturing sleep. May the memory of wonder and kindness wrap around you like a cherished blanket. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.